Welcome.
Oh, hey, everybody.
That was too cheesy.
Welcome, folks. JT McDowell here with resident explosion expert, Taunik Phrase.
Kaboom! Hello, JT. I am glad to be here. Glad to be announcing with you here.
I'm glad you're here with me. Game 1 of our 4-round championship launches next week, and I gotta say, I'm so excited. If you're not familiar with it, the 40K in 40 Minutes Championships is a fun, exciting way that we like to wrap up each of our seasons on YouTube, as we invite back some of our fan favorites, ask them to make a competitive 1,500-point list, in this case, and throw them together in a 4-game mini-tournament to see who's gonna emerge as this year's champion. This year we've got Michael Buckthorpe playing his Necrons, we've got James Mr. Initiative Jones playing his Orcs, we've got Tycho Imaga and his Death Guard, and we've of course got Steve, Space Marine Steve, the Year of Steve, playing his Ultramarine successor, Astral Claws.
Game 1 is coming out soon, and it's going to be PlayOn's own Child of Chaos, Tycho Imaga, playing his very resilient Death Guard list.
Extremely resilient Death
What do you
Guard
think
list.
about this list?
Tycho has built a really anti-Death Guard list. He has 5 drones in this list. He's got 3 Greater Blight drones, he's got 2 Fetid Bloat drones, he's got 2 squads of Poxwalkers, he's got a Demon Prince, he's got a Plague Burst Crawler, and he's got some Death Shroud Terminators. Some Gribbly Spawn as well with Grandfather's Blessings too, which make them really, really tough to fight. So he's running an Outrider actually, not a battalion, so he's not getting any command points refunded, but that's on purpose because he wants those 6 fast attack slots. This list is really problematic for a lot of players. If you can't deal with stuff flying up 14 inches and getting into your face turn 1 and potentially charging you on the first turn, you're gonna have a bad time.
What do the players have to watch out in Tycho's army? Like, what are the pitfalls in his army?
That Plague Burst Crawler can hit you from anywhere. So as important as it is and as much damage as it can do, it's a bit of a distraction. It's a bit of a trap. If you're trying to camp on objectives with small units, the Plague Burst Crawler is going to obliterate you. By using Disgusting Force for only a single command point, it goes up to 3 damage on the cannon. And that's just nuts. So he can just blast stuff off the table. Even fairly strong infantry aren't safe from that Plague Burst Crawler.
So it's going to be interesting. His matchup for this game 1 is against James Jones, Mr. Initiative, playing his Orcs.
I love this list. This is my favorite list of the entire 4 lists that we have. James has put together a real jack of all trades, I can do anything I need to kind of list. He's got 2 squads of Tank Busters. Boy, oh boy, have these guys gotten fantastic now. And with Tycho's list having all those vehicles, he's got 6 vehicles in his list. Tank Busters love shooting at vehicles.
So you feel like the matchup kind of favors James a bit?
I think it's a good matchup there, but again, even though he does 3 damage with rockets, Death Guard are all -1 damage. So it's a real trade-off. It's an interesting matchup though. He also has Burna Boys, so even if Tycho gets into charge, he's got the ability to flame and automatically hit an Overwatch, which is big. He has a ton of characters that are super killy. He's really gone full hog, a whole hog, on kitting out his characters to make them as powerful as he possibly can.
They look intimidating and they will hit like a ton of bricks.
His War Boss is absolutely murderous, his Weird Boy is absolutely murderous, and his Beast Boss on Squigosaur, custom model that he made, because the model wasn't out yet when we filmed this.
This is true.
He is absolutely terrifying. That model just destroys unit. If his Beast Boss on Squigosaur gets into combat with the Demon Prince,
or anything,
but I want to see the Demon Prince, because if it does, my money is on that Beast Boss on Squigosaur, because I think he can chew through, even with a 2-up, 5-up on that Demon Prince. It's either a 2-up, 5-up, or 2-up, 4-up. I can't remember which Tycho has, but even so, he's going to be able to just murder him, I think. Because that model itself, it's a ton of points. James has invested a lot into it. He's given him relics and traits and all this stuff, but I think that's going to be a key to his victory, is what his characters can do to his opponent.
Tell me about those commandos. I see 2 units of commandos in James's list.
These are objective grabbers. Commandos are great because they can forward deploy. They're extra bonus to save if they're inside cover, so they can be really hard to shift, and all Orcs are toughness 5 now. So these are really, really key. The commandos are part of James's strategy to retrieve Alteria's data, to get engaged on all fronts, and they're really important for him to forward deploy and play forward. The problem is, Tycho has the ability to charge and move so far with his drones that the commandos are in danger of only being around for a single turn. So James has got to be really careful with how far forward he throws them.
So the missions for both game 1 and 2 are actually the same mission. We're actually going to be playing on the same board. But in this particular match, James versus Tycho, who do you think this mission and this board favors?
This is an interesting mission. Scorched Earth is a hold 1, hold 2, so 5 for holding 1, 5 more for holding 2, and then 5 more for holding more than your opponent. And I think both players are capable of scoring 10 and even 15 on primary every turn. If Tycho takes Spread the Sickness, which is a Death Guard specific secondary, he's going to befoul objectives in his own deployment zone, or nearest to his deployment zone, which are also in this mission objectives that can be raised and removed from the board. He doesn't score those points to the end of turn, so it gives an entire game for James to try to remove those points from Tycho. He needs to perform an action, it costs him models, and James can take it off the board. So this is an interesting interplay, and it's going to determine how the game goes, where he decides to spread the sickness.
That really changes up the game a lot
Yeah.
from the standard 40K.
It really does. Spread the Sickness is a fantastic Death Guard secondary, because if there's, in this mission is 6, and in the next mission is 6, you can get potentially 9, 12, or even 15 points off Spread the Sickness. And if you can get more than 10 points on a secondary, it's absolutely worth taking.
100%.
So that's a key one for Tycho, and I think that's part of his plans, hence the 2 big blobs of Poxwalkers. So that's something to watch out for. But what James needs to watch out for is those Poxwalkers are Harbingers. So Harbingers have a cool stratagem that allows them to do mortal wounds in combat. They can do mortal wounds when they hit a 6, or on a 1, they take a mortal wound themselves. But when you have a unit of Poxwalkers where there's some 17 models that can all get into combat and now are doing mortal wounds on 6s and re-rolling because of the stratagem from Death Guard, suddenly these cheesy little zombies that do nothing can be absolutely murderous.
I've experienced that, and it's terrible.
The number, because you can just re-roll. I'm gonna re-roll all my hits and hunt for those 6s. Who cares if they die, they're just Poxwalkers, because every model that they kill in the unit they're fighting adds a model back to their unit. So it's a win-win for Tycho. So James has to be careful what he throws at them.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating, and I'm really excited. I want to bet you lunch that James will win.
You know what? I'm hesitant to take that bet because I really think James has an opportunity here to win. But I'll take it. I'll bet on my man Tycho. I think it's going to be close though. I think this game is going to come down to 1 or 2 decisions, and it's going to come down to maybe a failed charge. It's going to come down to maybe a missed move. It's going to come down to something that really swings it one way or the other, because this I think is one of the tightest matchups we have. Steve and Michael is a different animal altogether, and I think that's going to be a little bit different, but this is a super tight matchup, and I picked both these guys to go all the way. I think that either one of these guys is going to win it. So that's my bet. I'll take the bet.
You've heard it here. You've heard the predictions. Now you tune in next week for Game 1 of the Play On 40K in 40 Minutes Championships.
4 players, 4 games, 1 champion.
Play on.